What is the current council doing right? What is it doing wrong? And how would you like to change that if elected?
Some of the things I think the city council is doing right now are things like Harrison Avenue. I think that has been a good investment of the city's money. I think the planning on it was pretty good, and I'm happy with the way it's turning out. I'm also happy about what they did at Pioneer Trail and Highway 50, where they've added street lighting, where they've added sidewalks and added bike lanes going down Pioneer Trail. There's a lot of people living in that particular area that don't own vehicles, and so having the ability to walk on sidewalks late at night and to use bikes to get to work down in the downtown area is all a good thing. Some of the things that I disagree with that the City Council has done over the last 4 years, I'll start with parking meters. I think parking meters was a mistake, and it was a mistake for a couple of reasons. The people that live in the city and city surveys decided that they wanted things fixed in town. They wanted the infrastructure repaired, they wanted more recreation, but they wanted the tourists to pay for it. And when the city decided to put in parking meters, it affected the pocketbooks of locals, and it more importantly intruded upon the space of locals. So if you owned a house down by Lakeview Commons and you wanted to have 10 people over to your house for a birthday party, you couldn't do it without going to the city to get a permit to park there. That's just flat out wrong. So I think parking meters was a mistake. I think the other thing that the City Council could be doing a better job at is working closer with El Dorado and Douglas County. The city and the two counties have only met in open session once in the last 12 months. Now, if you do believe that there is only one economy on the South Shore and it extends all the way from Cave Rock out to Camp Richardson, then we need to be working together to make sure that we have a vision plan for the future. It's going to be very hard to get people to invest in our community in a large way if there's no predictability about where the economy is going. And so if the electeds from both counties could agree on where we want to head and then incorporate the vision of the business community and the environmental community, I think we could have a nice document that says this is where South Lake Tahoe wants to go in the future. Now, how do you change that? You start to focus a little bit more on communication. You need to develop a relationship with the other electeds. You need to spend time understanding what their pain is. They need to understand your pain, and then you need to compromise and meet somewhere in the middle. So hopefully we can start by communicating better with them. And the other thing, as I mentioned earlier, is to come up with a vision plan for all of the entire South Shore.
What state do you believe the city of South Lake Tahoe is in now as a whole, and how do you think outsiders perceive the city? How would your presence on the council impact this?
I think the city is in a precarious state. We have a very transient economy. When snow doesn't come, our pocketbooks get affected in a big way, and tax collections go way down, whether it's transit occupancy tax or sales tax, which are two biggest parts of the budget. So I think we need to be able to look out into the future and put together more revenue opportunities based around things like events. So you think about our music events during the summertime. People make reservations 6 months in advance. As soon as you know that Bruno Mars is coming to town, you book your hotel room, you decide to come into town. So more events like that would bring more predictability to the economy. So I think my biggest worry for the city right now is really money. I mean, we need more money for infrastructure. If you drive off of Highway 50 anyway, you'll see that our streets are crumbling and are in disrepair. Our snow removal equipment, which is probably one of the most important things to locals, is old, it's dated, and we need to make sure that that equipment is going to work in the future and that we have staff to be able to do that. Third thing we need money for is code enforcement. I am tired of living in a community where I have fraternity houses right down the block of me. Literally, do we have fraternity houses? No. But every time one of these vacation rental homes turns into 21 people partying at 2 o'clock in the morning, it feels like a fraternity to me. And the city can't do much about it because the code enforcement team ends at 7 o'clock at night, and we only have 5 police officers on duty at all times, other than a sergeant and a lieutenant. So there's no one available to go and make them be quiet at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would like to see us use some additional funds and get code enforcement under control so that we all have some peace and quiet in our neighborhoods, because that's why we live here. The other thing code enforcement would do to start cracking down on some of the monthly and weekly rentals that we have in the motels. Most of those were built in the 50s or early 60s. They are not built to accommodate hot plates, microwaves, hair dryers, computers, and that's what's going on in these single room units that were not made for people to be living them on a full-time basis. So more code enforcement would be good. I think outsiders, how do they perceive our city? Well, you know, a couple of the doctors at Barton Hospital have said to me, Austin, we're having a hard time recruiting doctors to come to town because when they drive down Highway 50, it looks old, tired, and dated. Well, how do you fix that up? Well, the city needs enough money maybe to purchase some of these older properties or to help give them funding so that they can help renovate with low interest loans. How would my presence affect all of this? I believe in communication and cooperation. I also believe we need to protect and respect our environment, and I'd like to get that messaging out to the general public and to the people that are visiting us.